Welcome to another episode of 10 Minutes with 10 Leaves. I'm your host, Bhumika Arora, and today we are diving into a topic that's shaping the future of industries, economies, and even governance. Yes, we are talking about artificial intelligence, its containment and risks. AI is no longer just a technological tool, it's a force that amplifies power, decisions, and influence on unprecedented scale. While it promises efficiency, innovation, and progress, it also raises critical concerns. Who controls the AI? How do we regulate a technology that is evolving faster than policies can keep up? And what happens when private corporations wield the kind of power once reserved for nation states? To explore these challenges, I'm joined by Rohit Ghai, a technology and business expert with deep insights into AI's impact on governance, regulation, and global economy. Rohit, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Bhumika, for having me.
Yes, Rohit. Let's start with the bigger picture. AI is one of the most powerful technologies we've ever created. But with that power comes significant risk. Do you see any dangers associated with this, Rohit?
Yeah, dangers. Yeah, danger seems a very big word for technology, and it goes usually hand in hand. But like I think we discussed this previously, or touched upon it in our previous podcast. It says that AI has the potential, as you know, to change the fundamentals of how we live and work. It transforms our lives much, much more than what the internet did, and that was the last such transformative technology. Imagine pre-internet and post-internet. Unfortunately, with AI, we can't imagine the post AI because it's a very radical change. Like we talked about some earlier as well. I mean, it gives an individual or small group of individuals as much power as nation states, and this has never happened in the history of mankind. So how it plays out is going to be very difficult to understand. Uh, I don't know if you're following the news on this one, but 3 days back, there was a private company which landed on the moon. There are, I think, 5 countries which have landed on the moon, and now you have a private company that's landed on the moon, and that's
Uh-huh.
significant. Starlink, Elon Musk's Starlink it can control global internet access. It has thousands of satellites and then many more coming in. This corporations wielding more power than most countries. The market cap of each of these FANG companies, the Apple and Google and Nvidia, uh, their market cap of each of these are more than the GDP of most countries. So what
Okay.
happens when you become too big, which they already are, and they also control such powerful technology. Incidentally, these are the same companies which are also advocating AI and coming up with the solutions. So how do you control them when they become too big? The last time we saw such powerful corporations was the East India Company, and we know how that turned out. So the main danger I feel is to humanity itself. AI can replicate, learn, and in due course, AI may not be aligned to our goals. Uh, Bhumika, we had this conversation offline, but there's a fictional story
Mm-hmm.
about a pin factory. You know,
Okay.
uh,
Mm-hmm.
so there was a pin factory. It's a fictional story, but it gives you a bit of perspective. So the spin factory says, I want to use AI to manufacture to maximize the production of pins. So they give this powerful AI a goal, and the goal set is to maximize pin production. How can I make more
Okay.
pins? So now the AI says, okay, let me look at your current processes, and it starts building on those current processes. And at some point of time, you maximize the factory output, but the goal is still not reached. It says maximize pin production. It doesn't say maximize pin production in that factory. So then, by ways and means, it starts taking over factories because you can control the financials. It's a very powerful AI. So at some point in time, it all the resources of planet Earth go into making pins, and at some point in time, the whole universe is all filled with pins. Now it may seem very dystopian, also it's unrealistic, but the point is that the goal set to AI may not be in line or in alignment with what's great for humans. So we got to be very aware of that, and that what I described, of course, is a very unreal scale, but it may happen in other ways. There are economic and social disruptions we got to think about. People out of work, and the white collared guys this time. I mean, the doctor loses his job, the nurse still has hers. I mean, this is what it looks like. AI isn't very great with hand stuff, motor stuff, as much as it's great with thinking and understanding and analyzing. So unemployment's at scale, malicious attacks, like I said, much more power in unprecedented power in the hands of an individual. So all this is very scary.
Rohit, I definitely find it very dangerous, honestly. But that's a stark comparison. It's true, unchecked corporate influence has rewritten history before, right?
Yeah.
So, how do we approach this, Rohit? What needs to be done to ensure that AI remains a force for good?
That sentence is so simple, but how do you start? Where do you start? Where's that
Hmm,
first
hmm.
step to have this right conversation? You need to have conversations. No one's having the conversations. Everyone's trying to enjoy I have a new model which will make me a gazillion tasks
Yeah,
easier and do
right.
this and
Everyone's
do
focusing
that.
on the output. Yes, yes.
Yeah, I know, from images to coding to whatever. But
Hmm,
who's talking
hmm.
about containment? Everyone. There's no single governing body, obviously. In fact, there's competing bodies. There's the US and the China, and of course Europe coming in trying their own stuff, and everyone's trying to uh, maximize it to reach that, win the AI race, as you may. So
Right.
how do you expect these guys who are just running against each other to suddenly stop and say, okay, hang on, let's figure out what happens if we run into 10 ditches or something? What happens if this happens? And they're not going to have that conversation when they're fighting to win the race. So that's why containment is so difficult. No one's going to slow down, and even if they commit to, how do you ensure that they'll adhere to it? I mean, see the climate change, climate agreements. You can pull out at any point in time and say, "Oh, I'm not interested." And in this case, the technology is so powerful that if the guy says, "Okay, I'm not interested," and they start working on it, and then you have to also. You can't just say, "Okay, fine. We won't do it, but you can choose to do whatever it is." So all this sounds a bit dystopian, but it may happen by the time we wake up, it's too late.
Right. I think, Rohit, that's a very crucial point. Somebody has to think about containing AI also. And AI is advancing at breakneck speed, but regulations and safeguards seem to be lagging behind. Beyond corporate control and governance, another major concern is what I feel is economic and social disruptions that AI could bring. What are your thoughts on that, Rohit?
Yeah, I mean, Bhumika, really, this is the biggest concern, because as
Hmm.
humans, we have worked towards developing skills, banking on those skills to put food on the table. You've learned something 15, 16 years, specialized in something, and then that is your principle. If you may, it's the interest which keeps coming back to you by you going to work somewhere, putting those skills to good use, and then earning money. So and this has
Right.
been from a long time. I mean, what works in hunting works in consulting. Same story. I mean, hunting
Mhm.
skills gets the food on the table. Consulting, yes, you know what you're doing. You put your expertise and you earn money. But the problem is that AI isn't just doing repetitive tasks. It's going into decision making. It's going into strategic roles, creativity. Entire industries can be transformed, and millions can be in displacement. It's already started. I'm seeing the news from the past 1 month, layoffs, and it starts with those small layoffs which go under the radar, and then all of a sudden you find that, oh, this building is, I mean, the industry is closing down, this company is closing down, and then so the industry is facing a, so you'd see those patterns, and then you'd find out it's not just a job loss, it's a job transformation. We're at a turning point, but it doesn't seem so because we're so busy enjoying the fancy part of it. But if we don't address these disruptions, we'd be only dealing with a lot of economic instability, a lot of social instability. I don't know how that's going to, or when that's going to play out, but that's the most concerning part of all. I think it's time for us to start asking questions.
I feel, Rohit, it's also because it's just the beginning of it. Everybody is, focusing on enjoying it right now. But once people realize how serious it can get, maybe then we will look out for actual answers.
Yeah, hope it's not too late by then.
Mm. Yes, I hope so too. All right, Rohit, that's like a really, really powerful insight. Thank you for joining us, Rohit, and sharing your expertise. It's again been a very eye-opening discussion.
Thanks for having me, Bhumika. See you next time.
Yes, and to our listeners, what are your thoughts on AI's risk and its future? Let's keep the conversation going, guys. See you all next time with more actionable insights. Until then, stay curious, stay informed.